I'm not doing this because I picked a team. I'm pointing out what I'm seeing. Politics has become so tribal that the second you criticize one side, people assume you must automatically belong to the other. Like politics is baseball. Like you're supposed to buy the jersey and scream until your throat bleeds. I see a man openly talking about using the machinery of government like a personal weapon. I see attacks on institutions, on the press, on elections, on the rule of law itself. I see a movement that wraps itself in patriotism while cheering for behavior that would have horrified conservatives 20 years ago. And the response is always the same. What about the Democrats? The sacred national hymn of the intellectually bankrupt. Washington is a sewer. Of course, Democrats are corrupt. If corruption shocked you at this point, then you haven't been paying attention. The point is watching millions of Americans transform from citizens into disciples. Not merely supporting a politician, but building an entire spiritual identity around him, protecting that man from any consequence. That's what MAGA really is. A movement where every scandal becomes fake. Every indictment becomes persecution. Every critic becomes an enemy of the state. Reality itself bends around him like light around a black hole. The man could sell steaks made of orphan meat on live television while wiping classified documents across his bare ass, and half the country would explain it to you like medieval priests defending a king chosen by God. But he tells it like it is. No, he tells you what your angry hearts want to hear. There's a difference. Democrats have corruption problems. Republicans have corruption problems. Human beings with power tend to become corrupted. None of that is new. What feels different now is the normalization. The excuses. When criticism itself becomes betrayal, when skepticism becomes disloyalty, when asking questions gets treated like siding with the enemy. And every time someone points this out, the conversation immediately gets dragged sideways into another list of scandals somewhere else. Not to solve anything, just to avoid looking directly at what's happening. Because if you can keep the argument trapped inside endless hypocrisy contests, nobody has to confront the deeper question. What happens when a country stops believing in principles and starts believing in personalities? That's the part that keeps bothering me. Not politics, not left versus right, but because history is full of countries where people convinced themselves the rules no longer mattered, as long as their guy was winning. This was never about sides. It was about watching millions of exhausted, frightened people hand over their critical thinking to a movement that survives entirely on emotional adrenaline and manufactured enemies. Keep the outrage moving fast enough and nobody notices the pockets being picked. Classic grifter mathematics. Bye!